Naomi Osaka's recently deleted tweet caused a bit of a stir on social media, while also starting a discussion around poverty, generational wealth, entitlement, and more. I'll talk about the drama surrounding said tweet and give some of my personal insight about it here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today. Four-time major champion Naomi Osaka faced some minor backlash on Saturday after posting an interesting tweet to her Twitter page. In the now deleted tweet, Naomi said, "Sometimes I wish my parents were rich, so I don't feel like I need to work for everybody's survival." Now, Osaka was seemingly aware of the imminent backlash that she received from that tweet, as she deleted it within 10 minutes of originally posting it. Obviously, people weren't a fan of this, and many called her spoiled, immature, and just a brat for complaining about money when she's a multi-millionaire. Naomi's net worth is said to be around $45 million, which is simply an estimate and not confirmed by the 24-year-old herself. Net worth, by the way, is the value of all acquired assets minus any debts incurred. Osaka was named the highest paid female athlete of 2021, reportedly raking in $57.1 million in endorsement deals. Of course, Naomi's not taking home all that money to the bank. She first has to pay Uncle Sam, then her team, including coaches, physios, hitting partners, and etc. etc. Also, those endorsement deals have to come from somewhere, so her agent's getting a pretty decent cut too, I assume. Black Twitter also came to Osaka's defense heavy today, many saying that they sympathize with and understand Osaka's position of being the primary provider for her family. A phrase, the black tax, was mentioned pretty frequently as a means to defend Naomi. I did do a bit of research on the black tax myself, which is essentially money that well-off black people give their less fortunate family members so that they can sustain themselves. Oftentimes, people with humble upbringings like Osaka feel a certain pressure to do well in their specific fields so that they can give back to their parents or closer communities that made the sacrifices necessary so that person could quote-unquote make it. In her Netflix docuseries released last year, Naomi basically echoed these sentiments while highlighting her own personal relationship with money and success. I remember when I was playing the local tournaments, all I was thinking was, I want my mom to, be happy, Osaka said. I want her to stop working. She would work overtime, she would sleep in her car sometimes, and for me, that was my whole point of playing tennis. It was honestly either become a champion or probably be broke, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I did that. For me, I'm good as a chaser or a follower, so it's really hard to be the top person. I feel like I'm struggling with the two extremes. You could hear her there saying that basically the whole point of her playing tennis was to support her mom and her family, because otherwise the immense sacrifices her parents made would be in vain. Naomi also talked about tying much of her own personal worth and identity to her success as a tennis player. She asked multiple times in the docuseries, "What am I if I'm not a tennis player, not a winner?" Each time she loses, Naomi feels that she lets people down, from her sponsors to team members and then family. She shouldn't feel this pressure, and I hope that she's not being completely used and taken advantage of, because that's what her tweet was kind of implying to me. I don't think that is the case, by the way. I just believe it's more self-imposed type pressure. I love Naomi, but I believe that she was being a little dramatic, if anything, especially with the word survival. The part I really didn't like was the "I wish my parents were rich" part. Once again, Naomi and her feelings are valid, but it's just a really bad look to be talking about wishing your parents were rich when you are rich. We're in the middle of a recession right now, and so many people are struggling with poverty, can't afford housing and basic means of living and whatever else. This does sound tone deaf to me and can come across as being spoiled when we are all well aware that she's the highest paid female athlete ever right now. Back to the idea of the black tax, I feel like Naomi's case is somewhat comparable, but not at all on the same scale. Osaka is a multi-millionaire, and honestly, with her endorsement deals alone from last year, she could retire and take care of her family for so many years to come. Maybe there's more to the story than realized, because once again, I'm not around her nor in her shoes. Still, I feel like most of the people coming to her defense simply cannot relate, because she makes 10 times as them, if not more. The tweet honestly seemed to be a cry out for help, in my opinion. This isn't the first time Naomi's talked about money, as she tweeted this past week, "If you're happy, you're wealthy. If rich humans could buy happiness, they would. Cherish that feeling for real." That basically meant that money can't buy happiness, and reading between the lines, one can assume that Osaka might be talking about herself, and we question, is she not happy or just speaking more broadly? I don't know. I said this before and I'll say it again, I believe most of the mental issues that Naomi experienced last year stemmed from the ample pressure and responsibility from her accompanying endorsement deals and sponsorships. Last year, I remember how it felt like every week she was getting some new type of sponsorship deal. And I'm all for getting the bag, but it just seemed very excessive. And even I was thinking, dang, this seems like a lot of responsibility for one person to handle. Initially, I blamed her agent Stewart because I felt that he wasn't looking out for Naomi's true best interest and was hyper-focused on money rather than her well-being. And I'm now starting to think, though, that this is more of Naomi's doing and her wanting and almost feeling like she needs all these deals so she can further provide for her family. I was on her tail initially, but I had to reflect and realize that I simply don't understand where she's coming from and feeling obligated and basically pressured to provide for my own family. Naomi's only 24, which is incredibly young to be the primary breadwinner of one's family, as Naomi's making it out to seem. Once more, this was just a simple, poorly thought out tweet that might not even reflect Osaka's entire situation. We don't know exactly how much she provides for her family and who all she provides for. I appreciate her being vulnerable with us because I'm sure a lot of people in her position feel this exact same way. Even Serena Williams talked about the fear of going broke in her 2013 documentary Venus and Serena after having to pay for a flight for her then stepmama.
Hey, sorry to interrupt right quick. Your dad asked me to get Keisha a flight right now back to Palm Beach and then first thing in the morning because he forgot his medicine. So I just want to make sure it's approved.
And yet you end up just paying for everything. It's just, I'm gonna go broke very soon.
It is important to note, though, that one, Serena could have just been a bit dramatic about the situation and was speaking in more of a sarcastic sense. And then two, at this point, Serena didn't have nearly the same number of endorsement deals as Osaka at the time, so there could have been a genuine pressure for her. Regardless, this is something that, once again, many players feel. Most struggle through the same predicament and make far less than Naomi, but that still doesn't invalidate her experiences. However, the wealthier players especially don't really discuss it that much because they realize how tone deaf it might sound, a multimillionaire complaining about helping out friends and family. Funny enough, the same day of Naomi making that tweet, Louis Vuitton posted some pictures she took for their campaign, so her talking about wealth and riches is just not a good look at all. In Naomi's case, tweeting it publicly like that was just the wrong move, and it's hard for me to really describe it, but Twitter is not the right platform. I think it would have been better and more digestible in a documentary type style thing where those type of realer moments are more appropriate and appreciated. But folks do not want to hear about a rich person complaining about not growing up rich on their timelines, especially during these trying times. To sum this whole thing up, I think both sides of this little debate are valid in their arguments, but I feel like it's gotten a little bit out of hand and become way too intense and polarized. People started throwing out racism allegations to those who don't agree with Naomi's statement, which is ridiculous and shows that sheep mentality that many people have with celebrities. Then on the other hand, I feel like the hostility towards Osaka is a bit too much from certain crowds. A lot of it is just people who don't like her anyway, searching for something to get mad about even more. This whole thing does open an interesting debate about wealthy celebrities and whether we grant them the same empathy to feel their feelings as common folk do, or if we say F that and hold them to a different standard due to their privileges. It is very interesting, and I personally feel like there should be a combination of the two sentiments. I'll also be interested to see whether Naomi addresses this situation or not, so that she can clarify things even more. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the matter, and let me know in the comments if you feel Naomi was indeed in the wrong and out of touch, or if she was right in her statements and found no issue. Personally, I feel a little bit of both and feel that she is being a bit too dramatic too. Also, make sure y'all subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post new content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.